Halloween forever.
My dream, the Lord did come to me, and he was a shape. He was a big, lumpy knob. It was he who had the juice. Welcome, boys and ghouls, to a fucking minisode of Halloween is Forever. I'm Brian.
I'm Meg.
I was all ears for that sermon.
You shut your goddamn dirty mouth. That was a quote from a pretty okay movie that this movie that we're going to talk about today remade and is not okay. Guys, we are talking about that brand. It's not even brand new. I think it came out a couple years ago, but just released somehow now.
It was made years ago, but sat on shelves until now.
Okay, we're going to talk about the new Children of the Corn remake, reimagining from, I guess, 2020. Debuted kinda on Shudder, but not really, because it was supposed to be there, but it wasn't. So then I had to go on Amazon Prime Video, purchase it, spend money to rent this dog shit.
I'm not happy about that. I want a refund.
And then when I opened it, or when I played the movie, it came up like it was a Shudder original with the Shudder screen, and I pay for a subscription to Shudder. I don't know. The whole thing was absolute dog shit. Like I said, guys, we're going to talk about the new Children of the Corn movie. Spoiler alert. It's horse shit.
It rules.
But it's going to be fun to talk about. There was a couple parts that weren't disgustingly bad. Most of it was absolutely horse shit. But we got a couple other things we're going to do before that, guys, here. First and foremost, I guess we should probably talk about some beersies. Anybody got some beersies they want to talk about?
I got beersies.
I do actually have a beer.
Is it Iron City?
As opposed to... No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
Guys.
Jeez.
Oh,
all right. Well,
I've been jonesing stouts a lot. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Meg was...
shut up.
Okay.
Meg, shut the fuck up.
It's a good segue though, Meg, because you said you've been drinking stouts a lot lately, and now I'm drinking a stout.
Oh my God.
This is from Sibling Revelry. It's their mocha oatmeal. It's only 6.5. Because I got other things to do after this. But yeah.
Where's Sibling Revelry? Where's that at?
They're out of Westlake, Ohio, which I think is just kind of outside of Cleveland.
Yeah, that's like a little suburb of Cleveland. I know where that is.
Yeah, because they say they're the coffee they used for their mocha oatmeal is from Duck Rabbit Coffee Roasters, which is different from Duck Rabbit Brewing.
Right.
Which is
that's not confusing.
Yeah.
Where's Duck Rabbit at? North Carolina?
I thought Duck Rabbit Brewing was out of like Michigan or so.
Was it? Maybe I'm getting... Why did I think it was from North Carolina? I don't know. I always like me some Duck Rabbit. They make some of them real sexy styles nobody gives a fuck about anymore. Like English barley wine and Best Bitter and oatmeal stout and stuff like that. But no relation is what you're saying.
They did, no relation. Because like even the logo is completely different. It's the body of a duck with a rabbit's head on it. But I remember Duck Rabbit did a beer that was like so far out of like a really, really old style. I think they called it the Malt Duck. And it tastes like grape cough syrup.
Hell yeah.
It was insane.
Does it get y'all robo-tripped?
It got you kind of robo-tripped. Yeah, it was just out of control.
You really encourage this, Brian.
Yeah, I'm really into mixing drugs and alcohol. Speaking of robo-tripping, Meg, weren't you robo-tripping? No, that was Steve. It was chugging cough syrup last time.
Yeah.
2 episodes ago.
I was recently, but not super recently. Yeah, no, like I said, I've been like trying to find some stouts lately, and tonight I just was like going through the fridge and happened to pull out the Grand Cacao from Trogs that was from the mix pack from the winter. So it's not super old, but it's holding up really nice and hitting the fucking spot. It's always a solid beer. Like I'm actually love it in the winter pack.
Yeah, they do a nice job, and you can trust. They're one of the breweries that I know. Like you can trust their code date. Like their beer's going to hold up pretty well.
Yeah.
You do have to get it mostly in your mouth. If you want to consume it, you should try to get it in. Meg, you guys can't see it at home. Meg just stone cold at a beer, essentially.
What I'm like real mad is that was the second sip in a row where I just was like just not looking, but trying to look at my computer and just been like, yeah, let's try to put this in my mouth and can't.
Missed. Just missed. Not by a lot. Just a couple inches.
Yeah.
Well, I am not drinking a stout. I am drinking a house lager from Forest in Maine. Forest in Maine is in beautiful Ambler, Pennsylvania. That's out east. This is a beer that came highly suggested to me from a gentleman who runs a really nice home D out there, distributor, aka beer store for people who don't live in the fucked up state of Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. It's like a Keller beer, basically. It's just kind of like a rustic house lager, like fairly well hopped, not super aggressive bitterness, got some nice kind of chewy, doughy things happening here, unfiltered, but drinking real nice. What's the ABV on this? I don't know. I already drank 3 of them, so not just now, but of the 4-pack, this is my last one. 4.8. Yeah, just a real nice kind of easy to crush kind of Keller beer here. I like it. It's got a heck of a nice foam stand on it, too. Had that sumbitch teased way up. That's about it. Nothing too special about it. It's pretty yummy, though.
Sick. I haven't had a single one of their beers, but they're in the back of my mind, a brewery that next time I go out east, I really, really need to make a point to try to go to.
Yeah, this one's nice. It's like real floral. It's definitely got that like... It's got a fairly lingering bitterness now, after a few sips in, and I'm like, this is the first one I'm just drinking on its own, not with food. It does have a fairly firm, lingering kind of chalky bitterness, which is pleasant. And it's real like honeysuckle, like orange. It's got a little bit of a peppery bergamot floral thing too. It's nice. It's really nice. I would buy this again.
You said it was a Keller beer. Does it have any of that there phosphorus eggy?
No, it doesn't have any real. I mean, it doesn't have a big sulfur hit to it. It is a little bit fuller body than you expect a 4.8% lager to be, but it's pretty clean. Pretty clean fermentation character otherwise. I dig it. A little bit of fruity esters in there. I ain't mad at it. We got to Beersies, guys, and I'm stalling because I don't want to talk about this piece of shit movie, but we do have one more fun little activity to do here first. If you'll recall, on the last episode, our social media friends, we announced, did decide what our topic is going to be for our April showdown. So that is 1 week. As the Bare Naked Ladies say, from today, we are going to be releasing our April Showdown episode. And that is, once again, the topic, Robot Rampage. That's how they say it in Britain. They call them robots. So we're sticking with it. You don't specifically have to do British robots, but we are doing Robot Rampage. That was the topic that was suggested from our social media friends and listeners. For those of you who are new to the show, or maybe this is your first time leading up to a showdown episode once a month, first Monday of the month, we do a little showdown. And basically we pick a topic that comes from 3 topics, which comes from a wheel of topics. Our social media friends pick from those 3. They're randomly selected from the wheel. And then once we have it, we each pick a movie associated with that topic. Sometimes it's a subgenre. Sometimes it's, something that's seasonally relevant, whatever. And ultimately, we pick that, we choose a movie that's associated with that, each one of us individually. In that showdown episode, a little bit of a longer form discussion where we each talk about the movie, we argue why it's good, why it's bad, why it sucks, why it's awesome, whatever. Someone gets speared. Ultimately, somebody gets dust blown in their eyes, the bottoms of their feet set on fire, something like that. We vote, and someone takes home that son of a bitchin' championship belt, that fucking shoulder candy for the month. Currently, your boy's holding on to it. That tends to be the case almost all the time. Not all the time, but pretty much all the time I hold the belt just with the history of, I mean, it's no surprise. The winningest champion in the history of Halloween is Forever. I feel like I haven't been really flaunting that enough lately. And I really need to keep you motherfuckers in check because you're kind of getting a little comfortable. I feel like out here acting like you own the belt.
I feel like Steve's acting more like the champ this month, especially with this week, man.
Yes. Somehow Steve suckered us into him picking a punishment movie
you
from
let
us.
it happen.
I wasn't going to see it. I was going to watch it no matter what. I was going to watch it no matter what. Not that I have a particular soft spot for this franchise, but I don't know why. I just always get suckered into watching remakes, but
yeah, I had no idea how different this was going to be. I was just like, hey, I hear it's getting bad reviews. Hey, everybody, let's see how bad it could be.
See Steve over here and be like,
well, it was actually a fun. I'm not going to lie. I did have fun with it specifically just because me and my brother, I got, and I don't know how I feel about this, but I just got a new TV. We just finished our basement. I just got a nice big new TV for the basement, mounted it on the wall, the whole thing. And the first movie I watched on I christened my new TV with this fucking flick.
Oh my God.
And me and my brother sat down there, gave it the full treatment, sitting there, snacks and drinks and lights off and watching a spooky movie. And pretty much we just fucking made fun of it the entire time, which was actually pretty fun too.
I can sense your hesitancy of christening a new TV with this.
Yeah.
But I think this is a new bad movie, like classic.
I agree. Yeah. We said that I think from 10, 20 years from now, people are going to be like, this has Mystery Science Theater written all over or something.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
But
because it's that bad.
Yeah. Let's pick our robot movies first before.
Yes. I got off on a tangent. Let's
no,
get
it's
our
okay.
robot.
It's okay. I was there with you.
Let's get our robot movies here, guys. Robot Rampage, which means we're each going to pick one of these movies. And then you got a week to go out and watch them or not, whatever, before we discuss them on the Showdown episode for next week. So I am going to go. Listen, I'm the champ. To the champ go the spoils. I get to choose the order in which we select it. I am going to go first. Not that there is a very remote chance I could see Steve picking this movie, so I don't think it's going to happen, but I am going to just nip it in the bud right now. Although I did have 3 movies I was thinking about. I know I talked about how I was going to do Chopping Mall, and I love me some Chopping Mall, but I don't know. I feel like I'm getting into too much of a pattern, too predictable, where I always just pick the schlocky 80s movie, which is my right as the champ, but I have decided to go a little bit different route. I am going to do a movie from the year 1973.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to do Westworld.
Oh, okay.
The original Westworld.
Okay.
Part of it, I'll give you, a little bit selfish is, like I said, I got a new TV, which I'm very excited for. Nice little movie room in the basement. I have not hooked up my VCR down there yet, but I have a copy of Westworld in pristine condition on VHS. That is going to be my first VHS watched on the new TV, which I thought would be appropriate. So I'm going Westworld.
Sick.
So let's go, Steve. Steve, what are you going to do? What's your robot rampage going to entail?
My robot rampage is I'm going to stick to formula. Mm-hmm. You say you're not going the 1980s schlock. Yeah. I'm going to stick to 1990s schlock.
Yeah.
And I'm going with 1995's Screamers.
That's a good one. That was one I considered too.
Yeah,
I love that movie.
I thought it might be. But it's starting Peter Weller. Mm-hmm. Based on a short story by Philip K. Dick and screenplay by our favorite Dan O'Bannon.
Yeah. I mean, listen, that's a pedigree.
Mm-hmm.
Philip K. Dick, Dan O'Bannon, 1995. Those are all my favorite things, pretty much.
Yeah.
No, it's a banger. I'll be honest. I love that movie. I definitely considered it. I probably haven't watched it in maybe 5 years. So I'm excited to watch that one again.
I
haven't seen that one, so
I know it's just in my head of just like it's an I hate using the word underrated, but it's one of those films that not enough people bring up, and I think it has just like enough fun things and enough twists and turns.
Yeah,
and then just like when you watch it though, it's one of those you have to watch it through the lens of this didn't steal from everything stole from this.
Right. 1995. And also, I would argue it's experiencing a little bit of a resurgence right now. I feel like I've heard more about this movie in the last couple years than I had in the 20 years before that. And then also kind of a shit title. So I think the movie, not shit title, not specific enough.
It doesn't. It's almost like Life Force.
Yeah, a little bit.
Both written by Dan O'Bannon. Dan O'Bannon doesn't do titles.
Dan O'Bannon rules, but God, does he suck ass at titles? I think you might be right. Yeah. Not that he necessarily had the title. I don't know if he came up with the title, but you're right that it's. I
don't know. He kind of does. He kind of does.
He probably did. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, no, because he kind of does suck at titles. Because like his other titles are like Bleeders was another film he did.
Oh my God!
But that's kind of a cool. I don't know why that's cooler than Screamers to me. I don't know.
And then like Aliens. Like that's an easy name, you know. It just
he might be bad at titles.
I think he's bad at titles.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I think you might be onto something there. All right, Meg, what do you got?
Okay, so I was actually, the guys are being kind and not calling me out, but I'm going to call myself out for like not coming prepared again. However, after I started looking, I realized that I actually had
the disrespect.
But I actually did have one in the back of my head, especially after we started talking about it. But I think I'm actually going to go a hard left on this one and do Tammy and the T-Rex.
That's a bold choice. Bold choice.
Sure.
It's a fun movie. Sure. Don't get me wrong. Zombie, not zombie. It's the brain surgery scene in this movie is bonkers. And I do like this movie. It's a lot of fun to watch. It's absolutely. If you haven't seen Tammy and the T-Rex, just buckle the fuck up. Because it's one of those movies I have no fucking idea how it got made. I mean, you could put. We'll talk about it. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves. But Steve, initial thoughts on Tammy and the T-Rex?
Boy, does that not fit a whole lot of what this episode was going to be?
Like in the Googling, I was just like, I think it fits some of it. And even if it's not fully, I think it'll still be a fun pick. So I'm like, hey, I'm pulling a Brian here. And if it doesn't fit and it's not perfect, we're still going to have fun talking about it. And you guys can tear it apart. It's fine.
Yeah. I'm not mad at it per se. I'm just saying, like, if you come unprepared, I think it's only fair that you throw up something that is just fun. Yeah. Like maybe you just resign yourself that you're not going to win, but you'll still be an important vote in the end. So
Tammy and the T-Rex, there's a lot of romance, which I think before you watch this movie, you don't realize just how much romance is going to be involved. And as far as the robot itself, is it a cyborg technically? I don't know. We'll talk about that.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I haven't.
It's like, go ahead, Steve. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, honestly, I haven't seen the movie all the way through. Like I've only seen bits and pieces.
It's a human's brain put into a robot, which to me,
that's a cyborg.
Sounds like a cyborg.
Well, then I had the other one, and if it fits, I mean, we would still have fun with it. And if it's more of a cyborg, because I think,
but it's not what you think. It's not RoboCop cyber. It's not. We have we must rebuild him. We have the technology.
No. But if it's controlled by a human brain, then that's human thought.
It is decidedly that.
Well, then I'll go back to my initial movie that I did have when I was thinking about this topic, and we won't have fun.
No, I'm not saying we can't have fun. You can still throw it up there.
No, you hate fun. You hate fun, Steve.
Remember the Meg rails. I'm trying to stay within the Meg rails, okay? I do want to just have fun with it. I do like the other movie that I had in mind that I didn't even have to look up, and that was Ex Machina. I remember the first time I watched it, I really enjoyed it. It was one of the ones that came to mind early on, so we can actually just do that one if it's actually within the Meg rails, which I think would, because AI falls into it.
I think it's within the Meg rails, but I don't know. I'll tell you right now, I don't think it's that great. Like,
I'm be honest with you, have not seen this movie, so I have nothing to. I'm familiar with it.
I think either way, I was walking to this with a high potential that I was not going to win. So let's go within the Meg rails.
I think if you want to do fun, because I mean, you're already Tammy and the T-Rex was already going to lose for other reasons, not the cyborg reason that I didn't know about. I would rather do Tammy and the T-Rex because I haven't really seen it, and it's going to be more fun than doing Ex Machina.
It is a fun movie. I have not seen Ex Machina. I can't speak to it. I know the concept. I know the pop culture implications and like what it represents in the zeitgeist, but I don't think I've sat and watched Ex Machina.
Okay, so our third choice was that because I came unprepared, that Steve was just going to choose a movie for me if I couldn't figure out something by the time we were picking out movies.
Sure.
So,
okay. Do you want to hear what I was going to give you?
Yeah.
On March 31st, from Full Moon Features is new Jim Wynorski movie Murderbot.
I don't know what that is. Actually, this could also be more like fun in a different way that I just go into something really blind.
I mean, we'd all go in blind because it's a brand new movie.
Yeah. I have not. I mean, Jim Wynorski is one
What's
of
it
the
called? Mad Robot?
Murderbot.
Murderbot. Jesus Christ.
Mad robot. Mad robot.
I fucking know.
So this is, I'm actually giving you a gift because you've already been told that you're going to lose with the other two movies. Mm-hmm. You don't know that you're going to lose with this.
I don't know.
Even though that, because none of us have seen this movie.
I'm kind of assuming either way on this topic because I didn't get to do my own research. I have no confidence that I would win either way. So
let's also be very clear. It's not that you didn't get to, it's you did not do it. I just don't want it to sound like we didn't give you sufficient
time. You guys, there was time. It was personal reasons. Okay. I'm not coming up with excuses here. So, let's see.
If you want my vote, a Jim Wynorski joint out of the blue. None of us know anything about it. Sounds like a lot of fun.
A 2023 Jim Wynorski joint.
Yeah.
Wait, is it called Killbots?
No, it's called Murderbot.
I'm trying to look it up.
I know you're not gonna. You have to look it up on Twitter. It was just announced. I literally watched the trailer while I was waiting for you guys to get set up.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, so because I saw another one and he's credited in that. That's why I'm like, or maybe it has two names. I don't fucking know. Nope. But okay, let's go with that. Let's just do that. And if it's good, then it's good. And if it's not,
I can guarantee you it's not going to be good, but it might be fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can say from the trailer it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Heard.
All right. We have decided. Okay. So once again, to let's recap what we're going to be doing here. I'm going to be doing Westworld from 1973. Steve's going to be talking about Screamers from 1995, and Meg's going to be doing Murderbot from 2023, which you said comes out
isn't even out yet. Yeah, March 31st.
March 31st.
Get on Full Moon. You got to get on Full Moon Features. It's like a $6.99 subscription. You can watch everything that's on there.
Mm-hmm. Deal. Listen, we're also writing Charles Band. Mr. Band, come over here.
Yeah.
Sponsor us.
Yeah.
We're pulling in subscribers for a movie that doesn't even exist yet. All right. So that's what we're going to be doing for our Son of a Bitchin' Showdown for the month of April, guys. All right. There's no more delay. There's no more drawing this out. We are going to have to talk about Children of the Corn. Steve, we were talking about before we got on here and started recording this because I didn't even look at who directed it until we sat down. Tell us about this fucking guy.
So, it was something I noticed just in the credits that it was directed by Kurt Wimmer. And I said, man, that name sounds really familiar. And because this movie has a lot of phone time, I went and looked up why does Kurt Wimmer sound familiar? And he is the director writer of Equilibrium. And if people don't remember that film or have never seen it, It's from 2000. It stars Christian Bale and is most famous for introducing the world to gun kata. And I'll tell you,
which is now almost a subgenre of films.
Yeah.
Now.
Like, I mean, for as questionable as quality as Equilibrium is, it kind of walked so that John Wick could John Wick.
A little bit. And so what was the one with oh my gosh, Angelina Jolie had like a gun kata movie too, didn't she? Where she like, it wasn't as much gun kata as much as like kicking people and then bending bullets. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, Wanted. That's not as much gun kata, but yes, there are. Tell the folks what gun kata is if you had to put it in a quick synopsis.
I mean, it's simply martial arts with guns, and you double wield all the time.
You never have to go akimbo all the time.
You never not dual wield, and then you're just throwing your bullets. You're punching with bullets. You punch bullets.
Although John Wick does not always go akimbo.
No, not always. But I mean,
he does do a lot of like punch someone into submission, and then that time, when you were in karate class, if you ever took karate classes when you were a kid, where you like trip somebody and then you like punch them in the throat real quick, and then run away. That's what they thought. Instead of punch them in the throat, you shoot him in the brain. Right. That's pretty much what like John Wick does it.
Yeah. And like
beat him up, shoot him in the brain.
And there's also kind of like there's that short, the punch that you short, at somebody's face, but instead of shorting it, you shoot him in the face. That's John Wick. And that's like, again, they learned all these things from Equilibrium. Equilibrium, the story is just Fahrenheit 451, but with
Taye Diggs as well.
Yeah, with Taye Diggs. So like, it's that. It's a fun genre film. I don't think anybody's ever gonna like champion it. I say go rewatch it just to rewatch it, but
I might now because I honestly don't know if I ever saw it. We were talking about this beforehand. I definitely remember the trailer. I recognize the poster and who's in it, and it all makes sense. But I don't know if I've actually ever sat down and watched it. Yeah,
it's just it's an interesting, fun look back, especially because like it's not like Christian Bale's bad.
No, he's always great. Yeah. I mean, yeah,
it's just like his character is specifically very wooden. It's
because he's trying to go Neo.
Yeah. Well, and also like the story requires it because the whole thing is like they live in a world where emotions have been outlawed. So, yeah,
that's a great premise.
Yeah,
I'm sold. If I wasn't sold then, I'm super sold now.
It's so weird because like you have that premise, and then he's like part of the royal guard who knows gun kata, and like gun kata is just a thing that they invented.
Is he also perhaps limitless?
He might be limitless. I think he becomes limitless when he learns about art and emotion.
Yeah. He's the one.
Yeah.
He's the limitless one. When he learns emotions.
So that's sick. Yeah. So that's Kurt Wimmer's background is he did Equilibrium and then he did Ultraviolet, which I believe is with Mila Djokovic. And it's basically just some like shitty vampire kind of allegory movie. Like I think they're all vampires, but they're not, you don't say it out loud that they're vampires. And like she does karate and stuff, and it's not good. It's not a great movie. And now he's done this movie. He really doesn't work a whole lot. As a director.
He doesn't have a lot of movies under his belt. But he also wrote the screenplay for this as well, in addition to directing it. So that's why I'm like, fuck this guy, because this screenplay. Steve, you said beforehand that it felt, or I think maybe we were texting like leading up to watch it, like you had watched it and Meg and I hadn't watched it yet, and you were like, the dialogue feels like it was written by AI. And after you said that, I couldn't stop thinking it, and it was such an accurate depiction. Like the dialogue is so fucking wonky. We'll get into it. For those of you who are not familiar with Children of the Corn and the Children of the Corn franchise, it's one of those movies. When did the original Children of the Corn come out? It was like 80...
Early 80s. 83 maybe?
81 was my guess, but I don't have it up in front of me. Early 80s. It's one of those movies that it's based on a short story, a Stephen King short story. So the material is good and interesting, but it's really difficult to bring some of these Stephen King short stories to life, which coincidentally on this week I watched The Mist again for the 12th time I've seen this movie. And it just again reiterated how impressive that movie is, because they actually do bring which that is almost like a novella. Like that's a novella. That's not even a short story. I think that's like 100 pages or some shit.
Right. Yeah. It's still pretty short in comparison to like some of his other adaptations.
Something. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. It's short in comparison, but it's not a Thomas Ligotti, 30 pager or something like that. So the original one was a decent adaptation of that story. In my opinion, the movie is not great, the original, but it has a few really memorable parts. And that's really my history. I've probably seen it 2 or 3 times. I've never seen any of the sequels. I've heard they're dog shit, but they have their fans.
Yes.
And they keep making them.
Yes.
This movie just feels like a shameless cash grab to eke out any last little bit of equity that is in this property.
Absolutely. I was so fucking confused at like the way they put this movie together.
Yeah.
And like, so just back to the original, even though you said like the original, it's not a great movie, but it does have its like kind of fan base, and like the original does hold to the short story pretty like strict.
I think it does. I've only read the short story once. I think it was when I was on vacation in high school.
Yeah.
But I don't. I do recall like nothing being a dramatic departure.
Right. I think
whereas like the Mist is actually a pretty dramatic departure, at least in the end.
Yeah, especially the end. But like I think the one thing that is left out of the original movie that is in the short story is like the main character Bert is killed by like a corn monster in the original short story. And then like I think the movie keeps it a little more vague as to whether or not like the children who have like formed this crazy cult, which I think is like the scariest part of the original Children of the Corn,
100%,
is that it's just a traveling couple who comes upon this remote town that has been taken over by psycho religious kids. Like, that's
already
insane.
Happened. You don't, and frankly, I agree 100%. That's the best thing about the original is you don't have to see all the how the sausage got made, so to speak. Like, you just can kind of suspend your disbeliefs and go like, this is some creepy shit has happened here and we don't necessarily understand it all, but we know we're in danger. So like this is actually even, I think, pretty well characterized by the IMDb synopses for these two movies. By the way, 1984 was the first one. A young couple was trapped in a remote town where a dangerous religious cult of children believe that everyone over the age of 18 must be killed. Okay, there's a little bit more to it than that. The whole, he who walks behind the rose and all that. They worship, essentially some sort of like, pagan agricultural god type of thing, right? But you're right. They're out of towners. They show up, and then it's this isolation thing.
Yeah.
They are trapped on the island with a bunch of psychos. Just so happens the island is a tiny,
Nebraska,
a town in Nebraska, in the middle of nowhere. This movie is about essentially the origin story of that. They also try to make it like an environmental story, but it kind of isn't.
It doesn't make any fucking sense. Like,
it's terribly written. And even listen to the IMDb synopsis. The film describes the events leading up to and including the massacre of the adults of a small town in Nebraska by their children after the adults irresponsibly ruin the crop and the children's future. So little of that happens, like with any real sense of like worth to the story.
Yeah.
I feel like there could have been, like, especially with when it came out and how important like the environment is to kids now. This movie could have had an opportunity to play off that a little bit, to showcase like, the power of numbers of kids actually doing something. But this movie, throughout the whole thing, you're just like, how do these parents just let this happen? Like, you kind of always had that feeling of like, this doesn't make sense. If I was in this scenario, this just wouldn't happen.
No one ever takes any action in this movie.
Like, you're like, yes, I feel like there's just always that constant thing like, oh, we're like adults and we're parents and we don't need to do anything. But at the same time, as an outsider, you're like, that this would not actually be happening. Like, there's no way that kid is like strong enough or like capable of doing that because they're 20 pounds.
Right.
Yeah. I would have beat the shit out of all these kids and literally by myself.
Yeah.
Like it's just, they're not threatening at any point.
Yeah.
We're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but the villains couldn't be less threatening in this movie, maybe with the exception of one kid who I don't think has any lines, kind of could come across a little bit threatening.
There's like two teenagers who they would be a problem no matter what. Just I can guarantee they're just the bad kids of the neighborhood anyway.
Yeah, they're just there to fuck shit up. They don't even believe in the God. They're just like, we come from the wrong side of the tracks. We're here to fuck shit up.
Somebody told them they could carry bats and chainsaws, and they'd be like, fuck yeah, fuck everybody.
They're like, hell yeah, bro. So just a little bit of the main players here. There's way too many people in this movie. You don't care about any of them. The main characters are a family, which the main kind of protagonist is Bo, which is Boylan. Her name is Boylan.
Boylan?
Boylan?
I don't know.
Is that how you say it?
I don't even know if you would say boy. Because it's B-O-L. It's like bowling. It's bowling. It's like Jolene, but bowling.
I don't know. Bowling. I think it's bowling. Anyway, she goes by Bo. And she's acting in a different movie than everybody else. And then her brother, Cecil, which they refer to as Cease quite a bit, which is no one calls anybody's name Cecil that, I don't think. Certainly not like, I don't know. It's a weird movie to pick.
It was the way, I think. Honestly, I feel like I could see someone doing that, but it's like the way they did it, it always felt forced. But I felt like the conversations regarding like you don't say your brother's name that many times.
Yeah, that's the thing. When they said like Cease all the time, I kept going to myself, who are they talking to?
Right.
Because
And like that's the other thing is this movie's so anachronistic. Like Cecil, sees Bo, like Boylan, like these are all like super old names. And then it also showed like everybody in the film looks like they're in the Great Depression, like a bunch of ruddy faces.
And you never know when it's set.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously set in modern times because they're on like social media at some point,
right.
But yeah.
And then like the dialogue alone has so many like anachronistic things. Like at one point, Cease tells Bo, I'm never going to get out of this town with my cruddy grades. Nobody has said cruddy since 1950.
And also just get in the car, drive away. You know, like people move around like crazy now. Now, if this was set in like the 40s, then I would be like, it's hard to up and leave, you know? No, in this instance, it's just like it almost felt, and even the way everybody was dressed, they were all seemed to be dressed in these like almost Depression era clothes for the most part,
right.
or at the very least like mid-century, you know, type of outfits. It was just all over the fucking place.
I mean, even if you live in Nebraska, like you can't be more than 5 hours away from Lincoln or Colorado in some way.
Yeah,
like
it's not like you live in the middle of Antarctica or something like that,
right?
But anyway, you also have Eden, who's like the villain, the antagonist of the movie, is like a 10-year-old girl named Eden. She basically is the Isaac of this movie. If you've seen the original movie, Isaac is like the little squirrely preacherish type of character who kind of reminds you of what's the character's name?
Damien.
Damien, yes, but I was thinking of There Will Be Blood. The preacher kid. He's kind of meek, but like he controls everyone. Like he kind of is the the brains of the operation. In any case, she's that. There really isn't a Malachi type. Like Malachi was like the threatening kid. He was like the big teenager, big strong teenager with red hair in the original movie that you were kind of like, oh, like he's a little sketchy. There's not really anybody like that in this movie. Like Cecil kind of goes over to the dark side, if you will, but like he's the least threatening human being I've ever seen in my life. Like he's like Bo, the actress who plays Bo. She is, like I said, she is giving new meaning to chewing the scenery. Like she is doing as much and more as she possibly can.
Yeah.
And it's not in the script. What she's doing is not in the script.
She gives herself a lot of business and she does a lot of stuff, and it's not in the script, but also it's like it's elevated by how wooden and just doing nothing everybody else is.
Yeah, so she sticks out like a sore thumb. And I have no doubt that she's a good actor. She's just trying to do too much with an absolute dog shit script and just horrible dialogue. Mm-hmm. And then you have the guy who plays the brother, Cecil. He is acting. It's hard. It's almost Inception level bad acting, because it feels like he's playing a like closeted gay teenager, like theater kid who is trying to play a roughneck hillbilly. You know what I mean? Like it's like he's playing a character who's playing a character almost.
Okay, you know? I get what you're saying. All right. So yeah, he was trying. Yeah.
Like the character he's supposed to be playing is like kind of the roughneck, down on his luck. Well, my grades are too dang crummy, and you're going to go to the big city, sis. I'm going to be left here to take care of the hogs. Like that's the character he's supposed to be playing. But the character he is playing, that's playing that character, is a closeted gay theater kid who lives in a small town,
and he just wants to escape and get out and sing and dance and have a time, but like he can't.
Right, but it feels like that is in and of itself a character because it's so surface level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, boy, he did just really Inception level bad acting.
And then it becomes even more baffling because, I mean, spoiler, I guess, or whatever. He makes a heel turn and becomes a bad guy. And then, but like as a bad guy, he doesn't really do anything.
Doesn't do a damn thing. He just stands on a different side of the room.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say he fades into the crowd and just stands on a different side of the room. Like it is perplexing.
What I found really interesting too, since we're talking about the characters and going back to Eden for a moment, is that I feel like the transition from when she's like sees the one kid going in to start killing everyone to becoming like a leader character, you have no idea how she makes that jump, because she's played off as being such like this like meek character. And I feel like when you brought up Cecil, I'm like, that was the same thing. There was no setup for us of like how they got from A to Z, like well enough that there'd be like, we need to rise up. Like I feel like them just getting mad because they weren't being listened to, it didn't feel like enough to like have such an extreme shift where like you go from, okay, hi mom, to I'm gonna fucking kill you, you deserve to die. Like that's a huge, that's a lot. Which is you guys bringing up Children of the Corn and having it be such like a quiet story where our imagination creates more of like that fear and terror. This just like didn't,
right?
So.
Yeah. And like, you're right about that, Meg, because the other thing is like, you're talking about how you don't see Eden's change. And it's because they literally tell you in the expository dialogue, which is the other thing that this movie is full of. Like everybody tells you their intentions and what happens. But like, somebody just mentions like, oh yeah, Eden was out in the field for 2 weeks and then we found her and then she was bad.
Yeah. And like they don't need to tell you that, because they already showed you that.
Right.
Because the opening scene is her and her brother, right? Or was just another guy, another kid?
I think the scene opens in like this kind of orphanage.
Yeah,
or like
it's like a children's home.
Yeah, or like a latchkey
situation.
kid program or some shit. Or just like the wayward kids go, which that's a lot of wayward kids for a small town.
it's like 16 of them.
Yeah.
That's got to be half the kids.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of kids. It's like, who the fuck is just leaving all these kids around?
Yeah.
But I guess the kid that she's living in the wayward home with, and then he comes out of the corn and then just goes and kills everybody who is running the home, and then like takes the kids hostage. This was just to stop for a second. I wanted to ask you guys, at what point did you know that you were in trouble in watching a bad movie?
Honestly, I knew, well, I guess in the first 5 minutes, because one, not even the dialogue between the kids, it was, I had my suspicions when they tried to do this big, they tried to make it this big, like, dark thing that happened where, and this is like, I'm trying to figure out how to say this without like pushing the plot forward because we haven't gotten this far yet, but the brother, maybe, I don't know, comes out of the, and he's clearly troubled. And I think the assumption is something in the corn is told him to go in and murder all the adults. So he goes inside and goes on this murder spree inside the children's home. And then assumedly there's a bunch of kids in there too. And the sheriff and like the local redneck posse, instead of just going in there, because he's stabbing them, he doesn't have a gun. Instead of going in there and subduing this child, he's not a child, he's a teenager,
right,
like the police should do in this scenario, they just put a hose with some sort of poisonous gas in there, and kill everyone in there, including like 15 children, and they show the like a room, like a Jonestown looking room with a bunch of kids laying on the ground, but they're all laying in
nap time,
unreasonably close proximity to each other, and they all have books. Like they all just like they're trying to make this be this hard-hitting, brutal, gut-wrenching, oh my god, look, all these kids are dead, but they don't look dead. They look like they're just having a nap. And also, why is any of this happening?
Right.
Yeah. Like none of it mattered. And for a quick back of my mind, I'm going, okay, they might make sense of this. They never do.
No,
not even a little bit.
No, not at all.
And so that was when I knew I was watching a bad movie. And like I said, that's 3 minutes.
Yeah. Meg,
that was pretty bad. But I think like mine was like officially like this isn't going anywhere was the first conversation when you meet Bo and Cecil. And I feel like we already kind of joked around about like how it sounds like it's written by AI, but I feel like it felt the whole time like this is not how children talk to one another. And Bo is talking to him like she's like 30 years old. Like it just, their interaction just felt so disingenuous.
I am your brother, kid, and we should have life together.
Yeah.
No, I like learn. Like it's just
it was just so awkward. I was like, nope, this is gonna be bad. Yeah. That was probably it for me.
Fair enough. Yeah, I was just wondering because like I feel like I was on the same page with Brian is like it was that first scene because I went, oh no, that's not great, because I guess that kind of makes sense why the film was maybe shelved for a little bit, because like this was filmed in 2020 and then like there was that tragedy in Texas that sort of mirrors in a way. And then, but also it rips something else from the headlines is like that's something that happened in Russia. Is like somebody, like a group of terrorists took a school hostage. This was like 15 years ago, maybe. And then Russia just gassed the entire school and like killed everybody.
Oh Jesus. No, I didn't hear about that.
So like, you have this event that is like coming on the heels of a real world event. Yeah. Is like, that's like you're starting your film way edgy, and you have to like you have to make that mean something or be worth something. And the fact that it goes to that shitty title screen and then the bad music afterwards.
Yeah, it's just like all the stakes. It's like they tried to do like an Ari Aster, the beginning of Midsummer, almost like, oh my God, the dread and the holy shit. And this is. but no, it doesn't land, and then it just goes into just silliness.
It's just so and then from there it becomes laughably bad. Like it, and that's what I love is like how just laughably awful it gets. Like we've gone on about how bad the dialogue is, but then just like some of the scenes are insane, and so you get all this setup of, you know, like the crops are dying. The crops probably have a fungus on them. Like they announce in the first 15 minutes that everybody's probably going crazy because there's a fungus on the crops that's making them crazy.
Yeah. You know what? It's weird because then they never it never really delivered.
Right.
Like I thought for sure this was going to be, and even in my notes, it's like, okay, so there's going to be a dang GMO fungus corn monster, which, spoiler alert, there is a corn monster, but it doesn't seemingly have anything to do with the fungus. It's supernatural.
Yeah.
It's not a fungus. I was like, I remember like turning to my brother. I was like, is this going to be The Last of Us with corn? Like, but it's not.
Right.
It's just supernatural corn monster. Also, corn rules everything around us. Sorry. Corn rules everything around me. Anyway, it's just, it never pays off.
No.
And there's all this talk about like grain dust, you know, so like working in the beer industry, especially in production, it's a big thing. Like there's a huge, you know, explosion risks around, you know, grain dust.
Sure.
Right? So that's why you have to have your HVAC people, and you have to have your mill in a different room and all this stuff. That also never really pays off either.
Yeah.
But there's so much talk about it.
Yeah, there's so much talk about it. There's such a like a risk and a foreshadowing. Because like even like I used to work in a PVC mill, and like it was the same thing. You like there was the ingredients came in as dust on trains, and they get melted down, and like there's the same explosion risk of like, you know, static electricity causing the charge. So I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna get a great fucking just annihilation explosion. It doesn't. It's a gas explosion that
and she just uses it as a way to deter the bad guys from doing bad things to her.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
That's all she does. Yeah, it's just like a myth that she keeps like throwing out there. But
so they start to set up Eden as the leader of the kids because like Bo and Cease come upon like their kind of like playground by like this burned out silo, and then there's like a shitty car in the middle of a field, and like they're doing this
Chekhov's Oldsmobile.
Chekhov's Oldsmobile. Chekhov's Buick. But like the kids are playing pirates, and like they have this one kid on top of the grain silo, and they're gonna push him off. And like this is where you start to build the tension of like, oh, are they actually going to kill this kid? Like, is this where we're at? And then you pull the rug. The way the scene is supposed to end is you pull the rug, and the kid just jumps off the silo and is safely caught by the corn. But like that's not what happens. They don't do that. They threaten to burn him alive.
And everyone's like has very mixed feelings about it.
Right.
Like, it's not cool, or maybe it is fine. You know what I mean?
Right. Like, I don't know. He was mean to his dog, so maybe we should burn him alive.
And it takes even the people who are supposed to be the voice of reason in the scene kind of have mixed feelings about it, maybe being harmless fun.
Right.
So it just takes the sting out of the whole thing.
Yeah, it takes the sting out of the whole thing. You never get the payoff of the kid jumping off the silo. They literally leave the scene before that happens.
They just cut. Yeah, exactly. You just get what happened in that scene.
Yeah.
We don't know. We walked away.
Yeah, because this other kid, Calder, who's like he's
good God, is that child a bad actor?
I don't want to bash all the kids for being bad actors, even though because it's not fair to them as kids.
I know,
it's not
you're
their
right.
fault.
It's not.
It's not their fault.
It's not their fault. It's not their fault.
Yeah.
Yes, it's Wimmer's fault.
It's very much Kurt Wimmer's fault. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Right, but that scene between Bo and him, the freaking sideburns kid.
Yeah.
Holy shit, was that painful.
But like he comes out of nowhere, and like I guess he owns the farm that the kids are playing on, and like the kids have busted out the windows and, you know, dented the Oldsmobile up.
It's his grandma's car.
Yeah, it's his grandma's car. But then he quickly turns. He's no longer mad at them, and he's right there with them like, oh, yeah, fuck that kid. Make him jump.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck is this motivation?
Yeah, they're literally smashing the window of the car, jumping up and down on the roof, like just destroying this car. It doesn't make any fucking sense. She also, we should mention, again, it doesn't really come around that much, so who really cares? But Eden, the evil child, has this obsession with the Red Witch.
The Red Queen.
Or not the Red Witch, the Red Queen, I mean. Yeah, from Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
So she's the whole off with your head type of, character. But then she shows up at one point with a red wig, like a costume wig.
Yeah.
And she just looks like white trash Raggedy Ann.
She looks like Wendy from
Wendy.
Wendy's.
Yes. Yeah. Ugh, it's
that was
tough.
such a weird thing too, because I feel like we've talked about it so many times that it's just like common thread throughout this entire thing where nothing really matters because there's no, I think, substance to any point, if there is any point that anyone could try to make up for this movie. And I feel like the Red Queen thing too, it's like, that's if she really didn't keep it on, like, are they trying to say somehow like she is becoming that, and that's kind of what her, like, so by showing it first, and I feel like I'm giving it credit by even saying this out loud, you know what I mean, like by trying to build the thread for them, but at the same time, like, a lot of things just feel so empty throughout all of this. Like, yeah,
I mean, he tries to deliver those lines in the scene that Caleb or whatever his name is, and I wrote it. It goes back to, Steve, what you said about just the tone being all over the fucking place, where like when he first comes in, he's supposed to be the kind of, I don't say badass, but like he's supposed to be the guy who's gonna like he step up and help deal with these kids.
Right. He would be the bridge between adulthood and childhood, because like both him and Boylan are both on the same kind of level of like, they're both like 17, 18 and
they're getting ready
on.
to graduate from high school kind of thing. But they're like, he comes in, and I just wrote, now this is exaggerated, but he comes in, he's like, what the frick's name and damn heck are you happened to my dang grandma's heckin' car? Like, it's just like he says all these weird like trying not to swear dialogue, and it's like, if you were 17, like what would possess you to talk like that?
Yeah. There's no kid that's 17 in 2023 or 2020 even who says frick in like a non-ironic way.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Moving on though, because I do think, Meg, you got to weigh in on this. What's the horse score on this? Because there's a horse jump scare.
There is. I still think it's pretty minimal. They could, it's a small town. But it's also modern. But they all seem very socially conscious, environmentally conscious. They could have all been riding horses, and it wouldn't have been a weird thing. So,
I mean, Raggedy Ann, she's riding horses.
She's the only one. Like I'm trying to think if anyone else got on a horse. I don't think so, guys.
That one guy kind of got on the horse.
We're going to call it a 2 out of 5.
By proxy.
2 out of 5 horse heads.
2 out of 5 horses. Okay, fair enough.
That's fine. Yeah. I mean, this movie doesn't excel in anything. So, yeah. So the one I want to jump to, a pretty important scene is the scene in the town hall.
By important, you mean the bread and butter of this entire movie? I genuinely... I mean, my brother and I were pissing our pants laughing in this scene.
This scene gets undercut. Like, so the importance to the story gets undercut by how silly it devolves. But like in this scene, you learn that the parents are 100% correct.
Yeah.
Like, and that the children are the villains because they're
even the ones who mean well, not even the murderous ones.
Not even the murderous ones. All the children are wrong because the father of Bolan is up there and he's talking about how like all the crops are dying, the soil is unusable. So and he even mentions like a previous generation voted to have all the corporatism and pollution come into their town. And now
it sounds like they sold out to like Monsanto or something. They gave them,
they sold out to Monsanto and they got fucked over. And one of the townspeople says they were sold a hill of beans. Oh God. But then like they make the correct progressive choice of saying our land is unusable, so we'll take the government subsidy, so we're no longer growing fungus infected corn, which could also poison the rest of like the crop in the area, like other people's crops.
You got to cut your losses at this point, and basically they're like, we got to rebuild. This is going to take a long time, whatever. Like, let's just take the subsidies, let's just get the government money and go do our thing. And the people who are arguing against them are, one, the children, and two, Wish.com Fred Gwynn, who's from, if everyone's kind of from the 50s, he's from like the 1850s.
Yeah.
Like he's talking in this like weird, maybe even Victorian type of speak. He is clearly taking a lot of Fred Gwynn liberties here.
Yeah, he's definitely doing a Fred Gwynn, but also he literally came from There Will Be Blood. Like
exactly. He is it's his mannerisms. He's from a completely different movie. But he's basically saying, we shouldn't do this. But the weird thing is, and this is how tonally just awful this movie is, it makes it feel like the kids, it's not like they're trying to preserve, how do I put this? It's not like they're trying to preserve their way of life or even an environmental thing. It's like they actually just really care about the corn.
Yeah.
Like the physical corn. And I'm not talking about the people who are worshiping a corn god, because there is that happening, a corn monster. Like Bo, she just really fucking loves corn.
She's the most wrong.
Yeah.
You know what would have made this really hilarious is if like the kids the next day were just wearing t-shirts that says corn is the future. I think I would have really liked that.
Corn is the future. Yeah. We were trying to come up with catchphrases, my brother and I were watching this, and I kept writing ones down and I never kind of got to it, but I was trying to think of an alternate title besides cream. Corn rules everything around me, and creamed corn. I was trying to come up with, and then I was also something about fun guys, because I thought the fungus was going to be a bigger part of it.
Right.
So it's like fun guys, horny for corny. I don't. I was just writing a bunch of
just writing shit.
Just literally because I was so bored at times.
Corn, corn makes me a fun guy.
Oh my god.
That would be better. But I was trying to, because we just couldn't stop talking about how horny we were for corn. But yeah, tell us about this fucking scene in the town hall is bonkers.
It's so fucking bonkers. So like, like you were saying, I just wanted to jump back to Meg for real quick though. And like, cause she said the future is corn. And I just imagine somebody holding 2 ears of corn yelling, "The future is now, old man."
Just holding literal ears of corn.
Yeah. But like,
they should have used like corn pieces as like pocket sand type of stuff, like thrown in their eyes. Like, man.
There wasn't enough corn-based weaponry and corn-based violence.
Well, and then also
corn kata.
Corn kata. That's the genre that this film's into. Corn kata. Double wielding corn, just running on dual wielding corn. But early on in the first scene with Bo and Cecil, because they're talking about how the corn's all fucked up and fungus infected.
Right.
Am I wrong, or does Cecil eat some corn?
Yeah, like Cecil puts some corn in his mouth and is like breathing in the dust and stuff to fuck with her.
He looks like a guy that would do that.
He's eating what looks like sweet corn, but it's clearly flint corn. You know what I mean? So like, what I'm saying is maybe this is lost on non-country folks like myself, but those are two entirely different crops, and I find it funny that they wrote a movie about corn and don't know what corn is, because he talks about maize, and like we talk about, like, maize is like the grain,
right.
It's the cereal grain, which is very different than sweet corn. You get corn on the cob, or you get a can of corn. Yeah, and but I really like the idea that this fucking whiner guy literally didn't know the difference.
Well, I don't think he knows anything about anything he's written, because, like, again, he's turned the parents who are taking the subsidies for not producing poison crop, you know, like,
making them the bad guys.
Right. He's trying to make them.
He's like, hello, Florida timeshare, like one of them says, or something.
Like, he's trying to make them the bad guys, but also at the same time, he's trying to make the kids the bad guys. Because sometimes this film feels kind of like boomerish, which happens in the same scene, is what we're getting to, why the scene rules so much, and why you know this movie is like a classic bad movie, is that Eden speaks up and she says, we don't get a vote in this. We want our vote. We want our voices heard. And you're like, oh, yeah, way to go, Greta Thunberg. Get them. You know,
that also felt like a boomer thing to say.
I know. Yeah. Well, that's what you're supposed to think.
Yeah.
That's the emotion you're supposed to have elicited, is like, look at this Greta Thunberg speaking up in the middle of it. And then the town literally starts laughing at her. Like,
but in the most
hearty belly laughs, deep belly laughs,
pointing. You're a child. Nice, good job being a child.
Yeah, imagine a child speaking up in the middle of town.
Where's your corn cob
the
bottle? That's what they should have said.
It had been happening for like 20 minutes, and they just all of a sudden started finding it hilarious.
Yeah. It is so baffling, and like,
it is one of the more bizarre scenes I've seen in a long time.
It's literally laughter on the same level as the end of Carrie. Like when she's imagining that everybody is laughing at her and like having a breakdown. It's that same kind of laughter. It's just, it is ridiculous.
It's like my brother and I were pissing our pants laughing at this scene. It is because the one guy, I don't even know if he has a name. He's just like he's just like a redneck dumbass.
Hillbilly one.
And exactly. And he is just like, he feels like it almost is like, I think I just said this, it felt like a Tim and Eric sketch or something. You know what I mean? Like, it was so off kilter. Oh man. Honestly, I'm not even joking. This scene makes the whole movie worth watching. It is hilariously bad.
Yeah. It sold it for me.
Yeah. You know what it felt like? And maybe Steve, you might have had this experience. Meg, probably not, because you weren't subjected to all types of crazy religious nonsense as a child. But we used to have to watch religious movies a lot. Like, there were certain parents, like certain friends of mine whose parents, when we went to their house, they only allowed us to watch religious movies. And it's not that they only let their kids watch religious movies. It's just when it was a group function, they felt they had to like show off to the other religious parents by saying like, we're going to watch a religious movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we'd have to watch like Left Behind or some Kirk Cameron shit. And so I have watched, or like you'd be at youth group or vacation Bible school or something, and it would be like rainy, so you wouldn't be able to play kickball, which is the only reason you were there. Yeah. So they put you in a room and wheel in a TV and put on some like dog shit, super low budget Christian movie. And this scene just reminded me, because these movies always had extremely low budgets and very, very few set pieces and even locations. And one of the locations was always in a church, because that's one of the places they had to shoot. Yeah. So this just felt like that to me so much. Yeah. It just really unlocked a weird core memory for me watching this scene.
Yeah. I didn't really grow up on those movies, but like I've watched them as I've gotten older, just as like, kind of like a funny thing, as like, what are,
some of them are great. Like Bible Man. I fucking love Bible Man. It's brilliant. dog shit, but I love it so much.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I definitely got a sense that like for some reason, and again, just because of some of the boomer attitudes, like it felt like, oh, Gina Carano is going to pop up in this any moment. Kevin Sorbo is going to save the day. Like,
yeah. Any second
Any
now.
second.
Kirk Cameron is off, like jacking off on the side of the stage.
he's going to put an end to all these uprising kids.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing is like, so they kind of nerf the religious aspect, because that was the big aspect of the original series of it being a religious thing, a religious cult that is in control of the town. But they nerf that because it doesn't feel like that. It only feels like Eden, for the most part, is the only one who really worships he who walks behind the rose. And that doesn't come into play until much later in the film.
Well, and there's no real reason why they should be following her.
Right.
Like in the original 84 movie, it's Isaac, I think is his name. I always get Isaac and Malachi mixed up.
Yeah, no, Isaac is the preacher and Malachi is the redheaded bully.
It is 100% like a cult of personality type of thing. He is the one. He's the sociopath kid who's smarter than all the other kids, but he's a full-on sociopath, and he's just there to manipulate. And he's also like has all these, religious grandeur happening and all this stuff. So it feels like I said, like the preacher from There Will Be Blood or something like that, where he's just in it for power and manipulation. And of course there is some weird stuff where he thinks there's a supernatural corn god and all this stuff in this movie. So he's delivering these big, not big, but for a group of children, it would feel like a big, grandiose sermon. Whereas Eden really doesn't do that.
No, she doesn't.
So there's really no reason why. And also Isaac controls Malachi, which is really the one everyone's scared of, the kid everyone's scared of in the first movie, because he is the ultimate, most dedicated zealot.
Right.
In this movie, again, you just never really see, aside from her having some conversations and throwing out a few like things about how they don't give a shit about us and it's us versus them and all this stuff. There's never really none of this is ever earned at all.
No, because I mean the scene where Cease gets turned, he just happens upon like a bunch of the girls having some little like powwow in the corn, but like nothing is really said. They're just singing a creepy song, and then
and they're like, "Come into the corn, bro."
Yeah, and then cut scene. So
I think it was meant to, maybe I don't know. Does it feel like something was cut out? Because
there's got to be a shitload on the cutting room floor. This film is so poorly edited too.
What does that mean? Does it even make sense? Like there was anything there? Like I feel like, this movie probably could have been a lot longer, but they're like, this sucks, so we need to cut this down. I wanted it like 20 minutes shorter, but I feel like with what you're saying, sidebar, I did have a funny joke because when you said that Cecil got turned, my mind went to he got turned in that moment, and now I'm creating a scene where he's getting turned up. Yeah.
Kids go out in the corn, they get turned.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, even talking about that, like all of those things feel empty because they don't do enough. But it also it almost feels like there's just a lot of filler around everything that doesn't end up meeting any sort of point. So now we're left with things that are completely empty.
It's so, as badly directed and written as it is, it's also every bit as poorly edited.
Yeah. Well, okay. So like speaking of filler, like all the scenes between Bo and her dad are basically pointless. Like the argument over like their mom's out there cheating on them. Like,
okay, I missed this. Maybe you guys understood it more. They're walking by, and it's back when Bo's trying to say that Cecil that everything's okay, and Cecil's like, no, everything isn't okay, and you see their mom is a mysterious character in this whole thing,
right? Because
she's flirting with some guy in his truck, and she gets into the truck with him, and she's acting very like erratic and laughing and like very outwardly flirting with this guy. Like there's no subtlety to it.
Yeah.
She might as well be standing there going, I'm flirting. Like it's that obvious, right?
They literally frame it like she's a Nebraska streetwalker because she's leaned into his truck window.
Lot lizard.
Yeah, she's leaning.
Yeah.
Lot lizard. Yeah. I just had a conversation about one time, very drunk. Me and some folks on our friend Jack's refrigerator dry erase board wrote down the top 10 leading causes of death amongst lot lizards. And it was there for years. I feel
now more invested in that list than this movie.
It was more interesting.
That's super interesting. Don't bring that up. Also,
that was just a real tangent there.
Yeah. Also, if misadventure isn't on there, just because that's a great cause of death in everybody's life, misadventure.
Well, if I recall, and we are getting off onto this topic, and it is your fault. It is.
Please do not make this a 3-hour episode on a terrible.
Number one was freezing to death.
Oh shit!
Okay,
that seems really pragmatic.
And number 2 is bad chili.
Oh,
so we kept it light. Anyway, so whenever she's like, mom's cheating and mom's a Nebraska whore and all this stuff. And then Bo basically is like, oh, that's between mom and dad. And then Cecil makes a comment suggesting that like, no, the whole town has went crazy and is treating each other badly.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, it's the fungus on the corn.
Right.
It's going to be like an ergot poisoning situation.
Yeah, which they literally say in the dialogue.
But then nothing ever happens with that.
No, because it doesn't make any sense. But I mean, like you get like, I'm not trying to compliment the film, but you get little parts of that in like you see people arguing in the street. You have a scene where like I think it's Cease walking down a street by himself, and you just hear like people arguing and dogs fighting in the background. You know, so like you get this sense that like, yeah, the town is going crazy because of the fungus of the corn, but then they cut all that underneath itself by revealing it's an actual corn monster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why I think it's just that all got left on the cutting room floor potentially. But then we thought that the mom was dead. I mean, she ultimately does get killed. But like,
they kept also saying that nothing dies in the cornfield, right? Or something, a version of that.
Nothing dies in the corn.
Yeah. So every time, like, now do we have corn zombies? Is that what we're dealing with? But they're not.
We kind of have corn zombies.
Sorry.
You get corn zombies in the end.
You do kind of.
Yeah.
Or corn. This is corn. This is, wait, what's the movie called? Not This Is Us. What's the freaking one with the fungus?
Last of Us.
That's on
The Last
TV?
of Us.
Last of Us, but it's corn.
But it's corn.
Yeah, sorry. I almost said This Is Us, but
wow,
that's a different show.
Yeah,
Totally
that's a totally different show.
This is corn. Anyway, guys, the mom, I think, was probably in the script, some sort of like degenerate or something, because then fast forward a little bit, but they're basically deciding that they're going to do some sort of like mock trial.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To basically put the adults on trial for the things they're doing to the town. And then also Bo has gotten in touch with some big city reporter who's going to come out and do a story on it during the mock trial. And this is really going to be the message that really turns around, I don't know, which government subsidies. I don't know.
Which is like that's why Bo is wrong the entire time, because what she should really be doing is like both supporting the town giving up subsidies, but exposing the corporate entity that poisoned their ground. Not trying to expose their parents for getting taken advantage of. You fucking idiots, we got you.
I guess we got to make a fan film, and make this movie better, guys, because that's all we're doing here.
I just like the whole time my brother and I were talking, I was like, is this going to be like a big thing? And we learned that it's a big giant, like, ultimately like this like 90s Nickelodeon style fuck you to parents, like tricks are for kids, but it's like corn's for kids, and you guys don't know how to deal with corn, like only kids understand corn.
Can we insert that corn song from TikTok right now?
Yeah,
Sure.
the corn.
Yeah.
That was my joke at the beginning. The big lumpy knob that has juice.
You know what, Brian? I think what you're bringing to light is all of these kids are fucking sugary cereal addicts. Like they're all addicted to high fructose corn syrup, and they just can't imagine it going away. Like
it's like the stuff, but it's corn.
Yeah, they can't imagine it going away.
I love that. Also, the one time we see them watching TV, it's when they're at home and they're watching a movie about corn, and it made me want to believe that the local TV station only plays corn-related programming.
Right.
And stuff.
You're watching the Ag Channel.
All corn all the time.
This isn't California. We don't play any of that avocado pussy shit. This is all corn all the time.
This is corn. This is breadbasket of fucking United States of America. And you voted for George McGovern. Fuck you.
You're listening to WKRN.
That's a shirt. But so, okay. This is my biggest point of confusion in the whole movie. And like, we're not going to obviously completely dissect the plot of this movie because it's dog shit. But Bo, when the kids come to basically snatch up all the parents, right? And they go to do the whole, we're going to put them on the mock trial. And this was all Bo's idea. Mm-hmm. And Bo talked Eden and her friends who had slaughtered a pig and were feeding the blood to the corn's roots or whatever.
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
No.
But whenever they're doing it, they come, the kids are running around the town. Bo, on a couple of occasions, one very early on, but it's more subtle, but very clearly at this part, she's looking out the window. Bo is seeing corn demons.
Yeah.
Right? She literally sees a teenage girl's face transform into a snarling corn demon through her window. She does not seem concerned. Does she think it's the fungus that's doing this to her?
I think that's what she assumes is happening because it happens in the first scene with Cease and her walking through the corn. She sees like the roots kind of move on its own, and then she sees,
and that's subtle at least.
And then she sees something later on when she's walking by herself. She sees something walking behind the corn rows.
Oh yeah.
And then now she sees a demon face on a girl. So like, I assume she thinks she's like some sort of fungus infection.
She thinks she's losing her mind or something,
but she doesn't seek medical help.
Another really great line that doesn't make any sense, and it's not central to the plot, but it happens around this time, is like when Cecil, who has completely switched, so they kill a couple of parents, they hang the one guy that was laughing at him. They do the scene where she basically ties him up and strings him up Old West style, where he's tied to the horse and all this stuff. Then they go to the police station and they put all the parents, again, how they're doing this, don't know, but they get them all. The way they get Bo and Cecil's dad is to go into his room at night after he'd been drinking whiskey, which he finishes the glass. He just splashes a little bit, drinks it, splashes a little bit, drinks it. They go into his bedroom and go, "Dad, wake up. We're doing a mock trial. You got to come with us." And he goes, "Oh, all right." And goes with them. Right. And he's like, "Just don't wake up your mom. She's right there. How is she not hearing any of this?" That's why I'm like, is she dead? Is she drunk? Like, what's happening? She's the biggest mystery of the movie. And not only does he go like, "All right, I'm going to go like talk to these kids and talk some sense to them." No, he lets them tie him up and put him in the back of the car.
Yeah.
You just use your two fists together and you swing, buddy. You would have knocked them both out in one.
He let them do it. He let them do it.
Yeah. Like, that's what was like when I made that point earlier. I'm like, that's a great example of one of those times you're just like, how, who, what, where, like, do you just not believe that anything's going to happen? But then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, they're actually like hurting people.
Yeah.
This went too far.
Well, this was a great line that just the ineptitude of everyone involved. Cecil says something along the lines of, she was like, "Why are you doing this?" And he's like, because it's going to change everything or whatever. And Cecil goes, "Never it's never a mistake to try and change the world, Bo. And I said, and I just wrote, maybe Nazis, question mark?
Maybe Nazis. Awesome.
Like, there's tons of examples why trying to make change is not good. You know, like sometimes it's, you know, a lot of times it's great. Sometimes not great.
Not every change is awesome.
No. But yeah, the dad just goes along to the mock trial. Just like this is normal. Like this happens sometimes in our town. We do mock trials.
Right. I am.
He's like just the most agreeable drunk ever. I am not sure.
I am starting to try to figure out, but like I think the person playing their mom like may have sued to get herself removed from the film.
Oh my God, that would be so amazing.
Because like if you think about the way she like interacts, like I don't know that she has any lines if I'm thinking about it.
No, she has 0 lines. I know she has 0 lines because we had a long conversation about the mom and why, because my brother said, no, I think she died. And then we're like, and then she was in the pit.
Right.
When they put the bulldozer in and then she dies there.
Right.
But we were like, wait, did her mom come back to like, because they treated her like the mom died.
Yeah.
Or left. Or so then we were like, oh, I was like, no, the mom didn't die. I think she's just out drinking and whoring.
Well, yeah, she does. Like, yeah, she was in bed with so we see her once whoring on the streets. Then she's in bed with her husband when he gets taken to the mock trial. And then the next time we see her is in the pit. And then that's it. So I'm wondering if like there were more scenes with her and she like sued. Like, I don't want to be part of this. Take me out.
But her mom, it was like after the pit. Because it was like a surprise when it's, you know, it was like when they were in almost that barn, which may have been when they were doing the trial. Wasn't the mom...
No. That was the news reporter.
They looked a lot alike. So that I literally thought
they do.
I thought they were the same.
You barely
person.
saw the mom's face at all.
Yeah, it was just 2 blonde ladies, and because you only saw the mom a little bit, that's why you would think that's also the mom. I get you because I think I had that same confusion for a moment. Okay. I was like, wait, no, she was dead in the pit because the whole time I'm asking, wait. They're always going on about how the mom's a whore, and I'm like, well, where's the mom? They keep calling her a whore. Like they keep slagging her off behind her back.
Yeah, she might be fine. I think you guys are the stupid ones. She just likes to party. You guys are lame. But they also, one of my favorite things is for the mock trial, they show up, Bo and Cecil, and they're like, they put Eden in charge of going and picking up the reporter from out of town.
Yeah, why?
They're like, where's the reporter? And they were like, you were supposed to get her. I'm like, wait, weren't you the person who set this all up? Why'd you send the 10-year-old to go pick up the reporter? Yeah. But then they're like, oh, she didn't show. Well, of course, they kept her hostage, and you know, ultimately they you know, sacrifice her to the corn monster. But it's just, oh man, it's just this movie or this script is just getting held together by like fucking Elmer's glue and like thumbtacks. It's just
corn syrup
barely hang. Yeah, corn syrup. Corn syrup would be more effective probably. I wrote down the girl who plays Eden feels like she should be the sassy niece in a Hallmark Christmas movie.
Oh,
like, she's not scary even a little bit. Like the kid in the originals, like they were actually kind of creepy kids, and they made them feel like they were, sociopath adults in children's bodies. Yeah. This girl just seemed like a normal little kid.
We lost like the one character that probably would have been like one of those original characters, the one that went on the rampage when we first started.
He's the only one who seemed a little tiny bit creepy.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I believe the actor who played Isaac, he was an adult.
Yeah, I think you're right.
The original Children of the Corn, because he was one of those people who had like a liver disease, kind of similar to what's his name? Played Webster, Emmanuel Lewis,
Gary
Oldman.
Oh,
Gary Oldman. Yeah, you're right.
No, not Gary Oldman.
No.
Gary Oldman's from the Fifth Element.
Gary. Oh fuck! What's his name?
Oh my god! Yes. Damn it! I can't remember his name either.
I'm gonna look it up. But yeah, so like, he was creepier and he was a better actor, Gary Coleman.
Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman's Dracula.
That's close.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like he was creepier and a better actor because like he was an adult when he played that role. He just happened to look like a kid. But like, yeah, the Eden, like she can't carry this as a scary actress because she is an actual like 9 or 10-year-old girl. I'm sorry, like no matter how good of a child actor you are, you're not good enough to carry a film. You know, and it's not not your fault.
No, it's not. She got cast. She got set up for failure with this casting. But one scene I really did like which is there's actually not a lot of like violence in this movie, but then there is a few like seeming like they're trying to go for shocking violence, like quality over quantity. But there's one kind of cool scene which we'll talk about in a minute. Here's one scene where they start fucking up people in the police station, and one of the children, which is just like a scrawny teenager, hits one of the people in the face with a baseball bat.
Calder, the kid with the Oldsmobile.
Oh yeah, sideburns, old sideburns over there. Smacks him with a baseball bat in the face, and it looks like a shark attack. Like it's not. That's not what happens when somebody gets hit in the face with a baseball bat.
It was shocking. I will give him that. Like,
even if like Mark McGuire hit you in the face with a baseball bat, it wouldn't look like that. Yeah.
I mean, you're right, Meg. It was supposed to be a shocking moment because like the whole time you're thinking like, oh, this is going to be Bo's savior or whatever. He's going to be the tough kid. And then he gets wrapped by one of these fucking delinquent kids, one of the dirty kids in the neighborhood.
That felt smooth and like that scene, because it was like the one came from behind, the one came up. It had no continuity to like a smoothness of the whole film. But that scene itself, if you isolate it, you're like, it's pretty sick.
That was pretty good. Even though that's not what happens to your face, it still looked okay. The other thing in this film that made me laugh really hard, though, is like they wind up, they decide to poison all the parents that they have locked up in the holding cell, like a bunch of town drunks.
Did you say sale?
I did say sale.
Over in the town, over in the old dang old holding sale.
Holding sale. It creeped in. I'm sorry, but yeah, they bring in the hose.
Steve did this whole thing when he was a kid. Like him and his friends like did this to all the adults in their town.
Yeah, you don't know it. Burgestown used to be a real different thing. But they bring in the hose and they just start dragging a hose into the police station, and one of the farmers just screams, "It's halothane!"
Yeah, because it's like that's the thing they did at the beginning. Yeah, we get it. It's the same hose. You don't have to say the chemical name again.
But it's just so funny because he recognizes it from the hose, but like we would just recognize it, and he just screams it. He's like, "It's halothane!"
We saw the opening scene. We're watching the movie. This whole movie is like, it's so funny for them to spoon feed you something like that they clearly don't need to.
Right.
But everything else that feels so easy to follow or should be easy to follow is confusing. And it's just a testament to how poorly edited it is. Like, why is Bo and Cecil's mom not in the cell, but she's in the pit? And the dad is not. He is in the cell, but not in the pit.
Right. And I think it's, and then like some of the people who are in the cell wind up in the pit. Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Cause I'm sorry. I can't.
There's nothing
my brain
else
will
to
short.
say about
my
it.
brain will
It's
short if
bad.
I try.
It's just badly done. I do like one of my favorite things is they do cut out Wish.com Fred Gwynn's eyes for some reason. Just again, they're just trying to do like brutal things,
which is also poorly edited because they get him on the ground and there's a shot of her hovering the knife over his eye. One of his eyes is already apparently cut out. But then it's not supposed to be cut out. They just fucked up on the editing.
It has no weight to it. Like the whole thing, like it just never seems like she really even ever comes in contact with him. And she's like playing Operation the Game. You know what I mean? Like,
and then this is also confusing because So you're supposed to hate this. You're supposed to hate the pastor because he's the one that was protesting against the corn.
Mhm.
But then you're also supposed to feel sympathy because apparently he's done some handsy diddling, pastory things with Eden.
That was suggested.
Yeah.
That seemed to be suggested. It was never outright said.
But what is
But it
not
seemed
just
heavily
suggested throughout this film? I don't know. Like, it's on point for the whole thing.
It's just a suggestion of a movie. But there is a point where, this one I laughed out loud because we had the captions on, and when they were after they cut out Fred Gwynn's eyes, and they're all just raging, they're all like in their bloodlust or whatever. There was the caption popped up, children roaring, and they were all just like, roar. Like, we both laughed out loud at that one.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Were we at the
so
part
Val-
where... Go ahead, Steve.
Which part did you want to talk about?
I feel like the only thing that was really interesting me left was like the terrible like CGI with the monster tearing apart someone. But
Yeah, I was gonna say, we're about there. Like we said, they bury everybody in the pit except for a couple of the townsfolk, and then the townsfolk that they don't bury in the pit, they're gonna send out into the corn to get eaten. But like the reason why the people were buried in the pit were to get eaten by the corn as well.
Wasn't that the whole idea? Yeah, but I guess feeding the corn versus feeding the corn monster are two different things.
okay, I just had a really fucking hilarious thought with the way you guys just said that. It's like butt chugging the corn.
So the corn monster, he'll just eat the people, or if you bury him, it's like butt chugging. It like gets him the nutrients faster.
Yeah, he had the butt chuck the town in order to get the strength to come after that.
Yeah.
Which this is hilarious because Eden says she wants to send the remaining parents into the corn to be eaten, and Bo just goes along with it. She sends her dad off to die after making this big declaration that she's going to save her dad after seeing her fucking mom buried alive.
She does nothing in this movie. Again, she's just so ineffective.
She kills her dad.
Yeah.
Which is funny.
Yeah, it's really, really, but she's so ineffective at doing any of the things she sets out to do, but she's remarkably good at finding rings. Like, she fines 2 different rings in a cornfield.
Yeah.
Like, that's impossible. One of them, I'm pretty sure she trips over.
She finds, she is a trinket finder. She is great.
Yeah. She is a
human metal detector.
Oh, jinx. Yeah, she literally is. So also, why would a corn demon, I could see why a corn demon wouldn't want to be burned.
Sure.
Right? Why would a corn demon care about being stabbed?
Oh God, I had that in my notes too. Which
it doesn't seem like it would hurt him.
Because he doesn't even seem to be like, so he's humanoid shaped, but he's not even fully formed. He's hollow.
Not like corporeal.
Yeah.
He's like it's almost like it's a demon or something that's using the corn to give the appearance of a person.
Right. Yeah.
Like, it's not like he has organs. He's just like corn stalks.
Yeah. He's just corn stalks and vines, which vines doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but he is vines.
It reminds me of like a bad science experiment is what he reminds me of.
Well, he looks like something from Goosebumps, like from a Goosebumps, cover.
Yeah, the CGI is dog shit.
It's bad. Well, here's the other thing is, okay, so he doesn't like getting stabbed. It hurts him. He screams. Ouch. But ouch.
Ouch.
But also, he's running through. Like, when he comes out and snags up the reporter when they have her hanging there, he knocks down a bunch of corn stalks.
Yeah.
Like, breaks them down when he comes out. So him moving through the corn, it's not like he moves seamlessly through the corn. He is crushing a bunch of corn stalks, which are also him, right? Because he's some sort of... Why does that not hurt him?
I don't know.
But it's like he's stomping on his own balls every 5 seconds. But then like when you, and it doesn't bother him, but when you stab him, he's like, ow, I'm corn.
Ow, not in the corn.
It just doesn't make.
How would a corn, like a corn stalk, say
Ow,
ow?
not the corn. Yeah. But he just shrieks, I guess. That's what he was doing. It doesn't make any fucking so bad.
Yeah. I will say when he rips the reporter in half, it's not that it's a good moment, but it's just like it's a funny thing to like keep carrying this.
I needed
like, it's
it.
so ridiculous.
Honestly, my thought was I needed it.
I did too.
Yeah.
I did and too. I felt a little bit in this. I think the same way as you guys did. A little bit of relief. It's like, okay, at least I'm still watching a horror movie a little bit.
Yeah, I mean they do like once everything starts to really go down and they just acknowledge that there's a corn demon in the corn. Like this movie goes pretty off the walls, and it's like better or worse for it. Like it could have been more boring. And that boring would have been bad.
The last 15 minutes were dog shit, but they kept my attention. So yes, I agree. I agree 100%. Here's another great one, which I really enjoyed. Eden has every opportunity 100 times to kill Bo, and Bo's really the only one that's giving her any trouble.
Right.
Like, despite Bo's best efforts to do nothing, she is consistently the only one who's giving Eden any trouble at all. And she has a million opportunities to kill her, but refuses to because like she's essentially like a really bad like Bond villain.
Yeah.
She just like sets the spinning laser timer and then just walks away. You know what I mean?
She likes the chase
she dunks her
bit.
in. Maybe, I guess. I was waiting for there to be something special about her. And I guess you could say in the end, maybe that is what happened. I don't know. But she keeps letting Bo off, so much so that she covers her in like, I guess, gasoline or kerosene or something. And then it's going to light her on fire, I guess. But then Bo just like throws a little bit at the kids and runs away. Like it's a very silly scene.
This would have been a perfect opportunity to just completely go all in on bullshit. But like when she's about to light her on fire, you just said Bond villain. If Bo said, "What do you expect me to do? Beg?" And she said, "No, I expect you to pop."
Yeah, because corn.
Because corn and oil.
Yeah. I expect you to pop. But the even dumber one is because it could have just been a gun, but Bo has a cattle bolt, which for those of you who don't know what a cattle bolt is, if you've seen No Country for Old Men.
Yeah, Shudder has one.
Anton Chigurh has one, and he, it's kind of, goes up and basically what it does is it uses pressurized air to shoot out a steel rod that, when held with such force that when you hold it up to a cow's head, it shoots it into the brain of the cow, pulls it back, and kills it immediately. And it's quote unquote humane way to kill livestock. She's got one of those, but she's treating it like it's a real gun.
Yeah.
Like so much so that she's holding, this little girl is holding Bo like at gunpoint.
It's like in her
gun.
lap. Like she's holding it like a spy would in a film, because she's holding it in her lap so nobody else sees her shoot the person in the tummy. But that's not how it's going to work.
That's not how it is. And if a child was threatening me with one of those, I would hold their wrist slowly and then smack them about the head and neck several times and say, "Give me that. Give me that." But no, she treats it like it's an actual firearm.
Right.
And it's so weird.
It's so weird.
And then even at some point she's like, "Get on your knees," like she's going to execute her. You could just be like, "No, I'm just going to stay 2 feet away from me from you.
Yeah.
I might kick you.
And with your little stubby child arms, you'll never be able to get to me.
She could literally.
You might as well be holding an ear of corn. Like that's as dangerous as that is.
She could literally put her hand on her head and hold her back as she swings her little arms to try and get at her.
It's so weird. It's so poorly thought out.
Here's another baffling and just dumb thing, and it just proves to you like how that like Kurt is old and doesn't know how to think young. Is that they're having this scene in the Oldsmobile, in Chekhov's Oldsmobile, and Bo asks for a final smoke, which who would do that?
At no point in this movie has she smoked, or has it even been suggested that she smokes.
Right. And they use the old cigarette lighter in the Oldsmobile. How many people younger than us would recognize that?
Right.
I recognized it, but like there's no way Eden would even know that that's a cigarette lighter, which would have been a great ploy to like take advantage and like burn her to get the gun out of her hand.
Yep.
Is like Bo would know, would just happen to know that that's a cigarette lighter, but Eden wouldn't.
Yeah. Why couldn't it just be a lighter?
Right.
Yeah.
Or matches?
Right.
I really wanted in this scene for Bo just to light herself on fire. That's where I ended with this movie.
I really was hoping she was going to self-immolate herself or whatever. Instead, when she does this whole thing where she lights the gas trail, which apparently she did on purpose, which is a long shot, but she knew it was going to happen with 100% certainty. First of all, they really, really showcased that awful CGI explosion.
Yeah.
Like they lingered on that shot, which is horrible. But after she blows everything up and sets the corn on fire and the corn monster is
wailing, maybe
pissed off. Yeah.
He's mad. He's also on fire. He's comes out of the corn. He's burning. He's like, Eden, what the fuck? I'm on fire now. And then
wrote, no one disappoints corn monster.
You got to go in the corn now because I'm upset.
You got to come with me in the corn. But whenever Bo says, Eden, it's done, I just wrote, what's done? I still don't understand what they were trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Corn's gone, so they lost. I don't know. Like, that's all I took from that.
But what were they even? Yeah, you're right. But like, what were they even trying to do in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, Eden gives a speech of like, we're going to take this to the other towns and they're going to pay. But then like, okay, so then did the parents in the other town do something bad? No, not that anybody knows of, and nobody knows that the kids are going to join in with that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just the whole thing. Their battle cry just turned into tricks are for kids.
Right.
Like bubble tape, 7 feet of bubble gum for you, not them. It's like it was just about how kids rule, parents rule.
Yeah. At some point, you're going to come upon a town that has like 2 or 3 people in their 20s who are losers. And they're not going to join up with you. They're just going to want to bully kids.
Beat the shit out of you.
Yeah, they're going to roll you for all your money and beat the shit out of you. Like they're not on the parent side, but they are going to kick your ass too.
Well, this is the other thing is like this where I think there was probably some sort of supernatural element, or maybe they tried to make it biological with the fungus. But the second the corn gets set on fire, all the kids act like they were literally 5 minutes ago going to chop up Bo with axes. And then as soon as the explosion happens, it's like they snapped out of the spell.
Yeah.
And they were just like standing there beside her like, cool. And 2 seconds ago, you were just going to chop her up.
Right. And like they're pretty chill about it. And there's even a terrible cut to her brother. And her brother just gives her like that silent nod of, you did good.
Yeah. This was all a test.
We're square now.
Square now. Oh, so dumb. And then so, fast forward to presumably the next morning. I don't know. every single stalk of corn is burned. So what they did was they went to a field of corn that had been harvested and then just shot it and just made it look black, like it had burned. But that's not even close to what it would look like. So it's super unbelievable. She finds Eden's little like ring with like a sunflower on it or some shit. And this is when I'm like, she has just absolutely remarkable talent for finding rings. And then the ending, Steve, I almost want you to just describe this. And then I just want to close my eyes and relive it because it was horrible and awesome at the same time. Like I'm so glad it ended like this.
It is probably,
but it's dog shit.
It's dog shit, but it's also the best kind of dog shit.
Yeah.
Because after all of this, she finds Eden's ring and then she turns around to see the cowboy boots stepping in the mud.
Yeah.
And I actually kind of like this effect. Up until I don't like it, but they pan up and Eden's legs are all burnt and like they kind of look like the skeleton legs from Dead Alive.
Yeah.
Like they pan all the way up and like it's kind of bold to show like a super burn victim girl.
Yeah.
And like her face is all scarred apart and like she's missing an eye for some reason, but she still has one. And she's like, nothing dies in the corn. And then demon phase vines again. Why vines?
Corn vines.
Corn vines.
Yes. We all know corn vines.
And then she just swallows up Bo and her corn vines.
The corn vines shoot out and overtake Bo and
It's even funny, like it has this anime effect to it because the black ash kind of rises up behind her like an anime villain powering up his super shot. It's like, what the fuck is this?
What if oh my god, if she was just like, come in. But it does, because it's like it does feel like an anime thing now you say that.
Yeah.
And also just like the face disfiguring and stuff. It almost,
and then the body
really
horror, like the body horror vines coming out is like, it's Akira, it's Tetsuo, and Akira. Like,
I was going to say it almost reminded me of Perfect Blue a little bit, just because I watched that recently. It's just so fucking bad and dumb, and honestly saves the movie worth watching for me. Like, I will honestly probably watch this movie again in my life. Like, that kind of, I'm embarrassed to say, but I probably will.
It's not off the table for me either. Like, it's so fucking bad, but
Meg's just shaking her head like there's no way I'm gonna. I'm not gonna watch it because it's remotely good at all. It's just, I honestly want to watch that town hall scene again.
Yeah. It's
so funny.
It's a thing to do as like a party or a showing, or just like if there's somebody in your life that you want to show like a funny bad movie to.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch it by myself.
No.
Sure. I would put this on to show somebody.
It's to subject others to.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't even know. I don't know if I hate someone enough to do that. The funny things weren't enough to make me like. I just like my last point of it that I'm standing a little different position is that it was just boring for me. Like, even the weird funny parts or even the gore parts weren't enough to make me be like, I would tell someone to watch this.
You're right. It's not a perfect midnight movie because of how boring it is. But it has enough. It reminds me of, frankly, a lot of, listen, this is going to really torch our chances of getting that Full Moon sponsorship. But it reminds me of a lot of Full Moon movies in that there are big lulls of boringness.
Yeah.
But there are enough interesting bonkers stuff that I'll still watch it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, a lot of features of the Full Moon caliber and Full Moon kind of like budget is they don't have the budget to be interesting. So that's why they have the long lulls and they do like extended scenes in single locations. It's because they don't have the budget. This film apparently had like a $10 million budget.
What?
and is directed and written by somebody who's a known entity in Hollywood. And obviously the money didn't go to the cast because I don't recognize a single person in this movie.
Nah.
So that means like they had more than enough time and money to like build something. They could have done something, but
I really hope this is like a true Hollywood story type of thing that like years from now, it's a known thing of like how tumultuous and fucked up the production was. And, you know, somebody ended up going to jail for like stealing a bunch of money. And then like they had to try to make some money back. So they were just going to completely trash it. But then they just shelved it for a while and then they brought it back. Like there's got to be a really, really interesting story behind this.
And I think there has to be. I agree with that because like it was filmed in 2020. But because it was an independent feature, like it didn't have to get shut down or anything. So it was like filming through the pandemic. And I wonder, I almost want to bet that there is like some sort of PPE loan scam going on in this movie.
Yeah, I could see that. Like I could definitely see that.
All I can think about is like with how bad and silly this movie is, all I could think about was like the Uwe Boll films. And how all of his films were like crazy terrible, but they were also like German tax scams at the same time.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I could totally see this being made. Like they already had the rights to the franchise, so they're going to use that because that's going to reel in. Like if this movie was called like, you know, something, you know, Corn Monsters or some shit. Right. Like we would have never watched it. We only watched it.
The Huskening.
That would have actually been a pretty good name.
Guys, I just want to point out that Steve's on fire today and you're getting a rare treat. You're getting a rare treat. No, but it's like, it honestly is like the fact that someone allowed this movie to come out with the name of a modestly successful franchise is bonkers. Is there a movie that has like I said, a moderately successful, you know, 3+4 decade almost franchise associated with it that is this bad?
This bad? I feel like
I'm really struggling to. I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
But I mean, even if you point at, you know, your Jaws 2s of the world and stuff.
I was almost going to say like Hellraiser a little bit, but I don't still think Hellraiser was this bad.
No, I don't think any of the Hellraisers were as poorly made.
Oh, yeah.
You guys didn't see Revelations.
No, we didn't see Revelations.
Didn't see Revelations. So I think you might be right on that one, Meg. And then I would also say the way Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead, those have all been abused pretty badly. Just because of the way the rights for the naming rights shook out with them. I think those have all been abused pretty badly. But yeah, this movie kind of also reminded me, not that I think it's as bad, but it kind of reminded me of the 2022 Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
But that movie was light years better than this.
Yeah, it's light years better.
I mean, it was dog shit, but it was light years better than this. And like the fact that it was I mean, I guess Hellraiser is, you know, associated with Clive Barker. It's just how a Stephen King, not that, you know, every movie based on a Stephen King story is good. Right. There's tons of dog shit ones, but like, I'm just surprised that this is kind of a precious one, but it's not because but it's just surprising that this franchise would fall to such unbelievable lows. Yeah. I mean, it's not a masterpiece. None of the movies are really good, but this is just absolute putrid dog shit.
Well, I mean, like in the later series of the Children of the Corns, like when you get to 6 and 7 and 8 and shit.
Jesus Christ, there's 8 of them?
I read that this is the 12th adaptation.
Oh, God almighty. I seriously thought there was like 4.
Yeah. So like, I think there's...
Now I got to watch them all. God damn it.
I think there's 10 Children of the Corn films that like led up to the mid 2000s. There's one short film that was like an original adaptation that came out even before the 84 movie. And now there's this one. So I think there's, that makes 12. But Yeah, so like
holy shit.
Even those though, like they all just were built off kind of the original film. And so like a lot of them maintained and carried the character of Isaac a lot of the time because he was like the big standout. So like Isaac appears in a lot of the films.
Oh, he's very creepy. He does a tremendous job in the first movie.
Great job, great actor, especially with like the role he's doing. So like that's why it's so baffling that this one isn't just a straight up remake. He wrote his own original Children of the Corn thing.
But I think honestly, there's so much left on the cutting room floor. Like we just don't know the whole story. I mean, I'm not saying it ever was good, but I think some of the ways that it just makes absolutely no fucking sense had to do with, and you know how they ended. Like the original like director's cut was like 3 hours and 40 minutes or some shit. You know what I mean? Like something like that has to be the case.
Yeah, that would rule so hard. I would watch that too. Just because you, because what was cut, he considers bad. So like if he identifies it as bad, like I gotta wonder.
I know.
I gotta just jump back to the mom again. Like that. Apparently the actress is from New Zealand.
Okay.
And so I have to wonder, I have to like imagine that there's scenes with her in it of her trying to do an American accent and maybe they're like super terrible. That would be so great. I would love to see it. I'm really looking forward to learning more about like this. This is going to be a movie that is, I want to like unravel what the fuck happened a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. With this, but also, you know, don't watch it thinking it's going to be good. It's dog shit. Like I feel like we're talking like there's a lot of it that is absolute unwatchable dog shit. But if you're looking for a good movie, go watch Baskin. Steve told me to watch it. I watch it. It's fucking great. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that movie's great.
I just watched that. That's like it's actually really scary and cool. Now, if you want to ingest pure dog shit, watch Children of the Corn. All right. Any final thoughts on the Children of the Corn?
No, but what's the movie suggestion? Baskets?
Baskin.
Oh, we talked about
Baskin. Yeah, it's a Turkish movie.
Yeah.
That's a fucking crazy.
Is that on Tubi or Shudder right now?
It's on Tubi.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know about Shudder, but I watched it on Tubi.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, any final thoughts on this piece of grotesque nonsense?
One of the few times I think you guys made me even dislike a movie more at the end of the episode. It's very rare that happens where I'm like, the amount of talking we did have, I was like, man, now I'm like more. Hate the movie more.
Like you're mad that it has taken up this much space in your life and brain.
Yeah, I want to charge it rent now. For sure.
Well, here, guys, we got a juicy little bit here for you, you guys to check out here for next week. First of all, a couple of palate cleansers to get that out of your life. Go watch Westworld. It's a fucking gem, especially if you have any. I imagine more people have saw the HBO show than have seen the 73 movie, but the 73 movie is underappreciated in my opinion. Go watch that. It's great. Screamers. You're going to have a blast with Screamers if you haven't already.
It's on Tubi.
And then it's on Tubi. And then check out, if you get a hot sec here, Murderbot. Jim Wynorski's new joint, Murderbot. At the very least, you're going to have to listen to Meg try to defend it, which in and of itself is going to be so entertaining.
Man, I just love how Steve's giggling over there right now. And
Meg, I'm so happy because like I said, I watched the trailer literally before we started recording. And like, if I hadn't seen it, I would have given you Runaway, which is also like, it's bad and stupid in its own way, but I'm just so happy I saw something brand new that's killer robots right before I got on. And I was able to offer this to you as your chance to, you know, win maybe.
I'm just really excited. This is like that. Yeah, you have one chance.
I'm gonna have like a day to like try to catch as many reviews as possible on this.
No, go in dead ass blind.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to go dead ass blind into it, but what I mean, like getting other people's like perspectives or things I could have missed
She wants to crowdsource like any kind of like help is what she's going for.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
Come on.
Yes, I like to do that after. I'm going to go in 100% blind. I'm not going to watch a trailer. I'm not going to look at any reviews. Nothing. I'm just going to go in completely blind, watch it. I got to assume it's going to be absolute dog shit, but
that's fine. We'll have
I'm
fun.
sure it's going to be
the
fun.
Worst case, you guys can just make fun of me the whole
It'll
time.
be fun.
You know?
Yeah. Listen, if I know this director and this production company and the fact that it's called Murderbot, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, go check those out this week and get ready for that Sumbitchin' Showdown for April. And as always, if you have any suggestions, not only for we're going to be in May, guys. If you have any suggestions for the May Showdown or topics to add to that spinny old wheel, send them over to us on the social medias. It's at Halloween's Forever on whatever social medias you're checking out. You should probably give us a follow as well. Guys, I know I owe some of you stickers. I ran out of stickers. I ordered more. They're here. I'll get them to you in the mail. We appreciate your patronage, and we're going to send you some fucking stickers. And as always, if you want to go and review, give us 5 stars or whatever the maximum amount of stars are on the Spotify's or the Apple Podcasts or wherever the hell you get those podcasts. Somebody sent us recently I think our very first one on another podcast app that I don't use frequently. We got our first review on there. I'll send you some damn old stickers in the mail. So go ahead and do that. We appreciate it. Get some more eyeballs or ear balls on the podcast. All right, guys. With that being said, for the Halloween is Forever crew, I'm Brian.
And I'm Meg.
And I'm he who sleeps till noon.
Bye.